Welcome back to Reading Bear. Today, we will take a look at some new revenge stories. And if you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comments. Let's go!
The first one is titled, Treat Other Drivers with Respect or You'll Be Toyed With. This happened a few years ago on my first trip to British Columbia. My brother and I rented a Mustang for our trip up to see Whistler in the mountains. If any of you remember the Sea to Sky Highway, when it was basically a mountain highway with 2 lanes winding around up and down, very slow if you have an RV in front of you lugging up the mountain, just waiting for a passing lane to open up. I was 25 years old in a Mustang with my brother on vacation. We're having a blast leading a group of maybe a dozen cars with the top down. I'm leading at about 10 to 15 kilometers per hour over the limit, being mindful of the roads. All the cars are leaving gaps and were peaceful. My brother first alerted me to this butthole SUV driver pulling insane blind passes and hearing other drivers honk. He's cutting people off in corners to squeeze back into formation to avoid accidents. I'm feeling the frustration of other drivers. We're all moving along peacefully with space when someone has to come along and ruin it. I notice now he's about 3 cars behind me when I hatch the plan. I decide once he's behind me he'll stay there, as I'll just gas up right after each apex to toy with him a bit, and I eventually did. A passing lane in 3 kilometers. At this point I haven't seen any police on the roads and thought I'll have a little fun for the other drivers' amusement, and of course my own. Each time he would nudge out to pass I'd just gas up and give myself 2 to 3 bus lengths. He'll catch up, next corner do it all over again. He's throwing up his arms, giving me the finger, riding my bummer, passing lane in 1 kilometer. I created a noticeable gap going into the passing lane. Get over to the right lane doing 40 kilometers per hour over the limit with cruise control on. At about the 100 meters mark left of the passing lane converging over, I see him flying up easily twice the limit, and I was going to just slow down and allow him to pass me. I'm checking my blind spot thinking why he hasn't passed me yet when I notice a police officer on the other side of the road crossed the highway to point him off. Butthole got a massive speeding ticket, I surmise. I was high on life after that. 2 other drivers that probably fell victim to his stupidity gave me a thumbs up once we were in Whistler. The next one is titled, Park in My Spot? Stay there forever. About a year ago I was getting home after long session of physical activity with girlfriend. I was pretty tired, so the plan was, get butt home, shower, lay on bed forever. Before I get to the point, I need to tell you a bit about the place I live in. I live in an apartment in a building kinda out of town. Building has 2 gates, a small one for people, bikes, and a large one for cars. There are parking lots inside for residents, however we often lament that there is not much room for parking cars inside. Just in front of the large gate there is a large area that can be accessed right from the street and is actually part of the property, so I have taken the habit of parking my car, a small one, just there on the side of the large gate. This way there is more room for the other residents inside, and I don't need to carry the remote key for the large gate, which I always lose anyway. For those that are just passing by, it is not really clear that the large area is actually part of the property, so people sometimes park there thinking it is a free space. After we explain the situation, people always move without problems, but we got tired of this, so we recently put some no parking signs inside the area, and this stopped happening. Okay, so I was tired and in need of rest. I get home and I see a big van, some electric implant company, parked right in my spot. I usually don't get mad at these things, but I was tired and the guy parked right in front of the no parking sign. I cannot park anywhere else since I would block the way in, out of the other residents. So I park in front of the large gate, get out of my car and approach the van. On the passenger seat there is a large lady, 2L, and I signed her to open the window. I kindly explained her that this is a private property and she needs to move the van. 2L, but there's nowhere else to park. Me, I am sorry, but, as I told you, this is a private property and I need to park here. 2L, why can't you park next to us? Me, it would block the way of the other residents. Isn't that obvious? 2L, oh, so you live here, then why don't you park inside? At this point I would like everyone to notice that there is absolutely no need for me to explain why I can't park inside. All she needs to know is that she is on private property and needs to go. Anyway, I explained the situation and she told me that the electrician, her husband, was making repairs in the building next to mine, and in 5 minutes they were leaving. Now I am a bit upset because I already know it's not going to be 5 minutes and I would have to go and up and down at least once to move the car, and if someone wanted to get in, out in the meanwhile they would, rightfully, be mad at me. So I just leave the car there and go to my apartment. Thankfully I have a window which let me see just the entrance and can check if they are still there. After 15/20ths of a minute they are still there. I need to rest and I am upset, so I go to confront them. 2L tells me that the guy came back but only to get some new stuff from the van and needed to do extra repair. Me, why didn't you tell him to move the van? 2L, he said it was only going to take 10 minutes. How is this an answer? Me, I am not interested in that, you need to move the van. 2L, just relax. I am more upset now. Me, listen, I kindly asked you to move the van, if you don't I will call the police and have it removed. 2L, alright, I will try to call him, but he probably won't answer. 2L calls the guy but he won't answer the phone. 2L, see? Laughing she starts to show me the ringing phone as if this is something that I am supposed to be interested in. 2L, see? He won't answer. Me, I don't care. You need to move the car. Why don't you tell me where he is? I will tell him. 2L, he is in that building but I don't know which apartment. UFFF. I can't ring every apartment just to find the idiot. I give a look inside the van and I see that he left the keys there. Me, hey, you have the key there. Why don't you move the van? 2L, are you crazy? He is gonna be mad. Me, I don't care. You must move the van. 2L, just relax. I can't do anything. Just wait here and tell him when he comes back. Now I am really upset. I don't say anything and I just start to walk in circles like a shark. After 10 minutes fat electrician, Faye, finally shows up. He is 6'5" tall and at least 420 pounds. I approach him but he starts to shout at me first. Faye, what is the problem? Me, this is private property. You can't park here. Move the van. Faye, why can't you park inside? ARGHHHHHHHH. Me, I just can't, okay? Move the van or I call the police. Faye, you know what? Fine. Call the police. He ignores me, gets some stuff from the van and went back to his work. Now I could have called the police but I am not sure they would have had the van removed and I might have caused a big fuss for nothing. But police are not those people we're going to pay. Revenge mode on. I took pictures of their license plate and the name of their company with my phone, then got in my car, moved it and parked right behind them. I was like 1 to 2 inches from the back of their van. Stupid Faye parked like 2 inches from the "no parking" sign. My car was behind it and a small wall was on their left. The right was free but there's no way they could have maneuvered out of it. More important, the passage was now free and the residents could go in, out. I tell L I got their license and datas just in case they were to try damage my car and that I would be back in a couple hours to move the car if I remembered to. I went back to my apartment and turned TV on. After 10 minutes I hear people screaming at the entrance. I took the interphone and asked what was the problem. Faye is crazy angry and wants me to move the car. Alright, I got it, I am coming. Went back to watch TV. Another 10 minutes pass and more screaming. This time I go. Faye, you have to move the car right now. Me, why? This is my property. Faye, you can't block my way. I got work to do. Me, fine. Call the police. I am not sure the police would have removed his stupid van, but sure as hell they weren't going to remove my car from my property. At this point Faye is really mad and starts screaming obscenities. One thing I didn't notice, he had a lot of large electrical stuffs on the ground, cables and others. But he couldn't put it back in because his stupid van didn't have a lateral entrance but only in the back, where my car blocks the way. Why am I telling this? Because it is starting to rain. All his stupid things could get damaged. I notice he also understands the situation so I say, me, okay. How about I do you a favor? I will move my car but you will have to pay me. Say €50? Faye, are you ducking with me? Me, as you wish. You can pay me or call the police and see if they give crap about you. If you don't pay, I will move the car in a couple more hours. Faye starts screaming more obscenities, get into the van, and comes back with my money. I take my money and move the car. Faye and 2L load their stuffs and leave at full speed. No one should ever be in my spot. The next one is titled, I just wanted the truck moved. I worked as a security guard downtown in a large Canadian city. This story starts when I got a phone call from one of the other guards working. He found a contractor had parked and left a truck in a loading dock bay, and was inquiring if I knew anything about it. The site I worked at had 2 buildings, over 60 floors between them, and that shared a loading dock with only 3 spaces. Occasionally on an expected slower day, contractors could ask us to leave a vehicle there if they were doing a quick job, but it was infrequent, as the loading dock was really busy. Around this time there was a company who had just rented 2 or 3 floors, and there was a massive remodel going on there. People were in and out constantly, and the job was going to run for a few months. This made the loading dock bays busy enough that we weren't letting anyone park there, just unload. I had been there that day and no one had asked permission to park, and nothing had been passed on from other guards or property management. I told the guard as much, and he went to find the contractor to have the vehicle moved. About half an hour later, as I am patrolling, I hear my guard arguing with someone near the building control center. As I approached, I picked up this was an argument about the truck. The contractor was saying that they had been given permission to park there. I walked up and explained that there were only 2 people on site that day that could have given permission. I was one of them and worked with the other for half the day, and we didn't give anyone permission to park there. He needed to move the vehicle. The contractor left at that point, and I thought the issue was settled. About 15 minutes later, I was covering a break in the control room when the foreman of the contract company, who is also the owner of the truck, approached and told me that they had been promised parking and aren't going to move the truck. I again politely explained to him that he didn't have permission, and that the truck needed to move as we needed the loading dock space. He then proceeded to yell at me, call me worthless, explained how he was so much more important than I was, how he made my yearly salary in a month, and most importantly he wasn't moving the truck and he would get me fired if I kept harassing him. As I started to respond, he just turned and walked away, as he was too busy to bother with me. I was furious. It's bad enough to be a disrespecting butthole, but to also threaten my job was too far. I followed after them and asked them really quickly what company they were with, got the company name and left them alone. I went back to the control center, and called the company. I explained who I was, that the truck was illegally parked, that the contractor threatened to have me fired for asking him to move the truck, and that he refused to speak with me about the issue, as he was worth too much to bother with a lowly security guard. We spoke for a few minutes as she apologized and asked me what I wanted to happen. I just asked that the contractor be spoken with, as that level of disrespect is unacceptable, and lastly the truck had to be moved. Pretty quickly the truck was moved, and the night supervisor for the 3-floor build came and apologized. The contractors were friends of his, he had given them permission to park there as they were helping out for the next few weeks on the job. He paid to park the truck himself, and it cost over $150 to park just for the night in the closest lot. He didn't come across as actually apologetic at all, more a guy doing damage control for his friends. This is where the revenge gets pro. $150 in parking is petty at best. The next day I ran into one of the contractors I was on great terms with. We would often talk for a while when we could. He explained that he was the lead for the entire build on the project, which I hadn't realized previously. I thought he was just one of the regular guys. He spoke with the night supervisor and heard about the issue, chewed out the night supervisor for handling the situation so poorly, fired the subcontractors from the job and blacklisted them from ever doing business with them again. The main contractor company was a huge company that is constantly doing work with the property management company, who own around 1/3 of all the major buildings in that city, and similar amounts in most of the other big Canadian cities. Not a company you want a bad reputation with. The next one is titled, The Parcel Guy Hates Me. This whole thing started like 12 years ago. I'm 25 right now. Back then, I was kind of the kid who was bullied by the cool guys. I never had the best grades, but never had many friends. Maybe I just wore the wrong clothes, I don't know. There was one guy especially who never let a day pass without insulting me until he left the school for whatever reason. Some years later, I was 20 at that point. I managed to finish school and worked for a design agency as an intern. Every day we get a lot of stuff via parcel service. Basically we design stuff for clients and let it produce by whatever company gives us the best offer. All this stuff comes to us first, so we can take a look at the quality and send in to our customer. This stuff can be heavy. Our rooms are located in the second floor, so it's standard procedure that the parcel guy rings the bell and one of the interns goes down, opens the door and help the underpaid guy to bring the stuff all the way up. Time goes by and every time the parcel guy rings the bell, I went downstairs to help him carry that stuff up. Until one day. I opened the door and there he stands. This waste of organs and blood that never let a day pass without making my life hell back in school. He looked at me without recognizing who I am, telling me he has some stuff for us and if I mind helping him to bring the stuff upstairs. I signed, and instead of helping him bringing this 24 packages of ordered paper blocks upstairs, and believe me, paper can be ducking heavy, I just told him the way, stepping outside and lit a cigarette while telling him where he should carry all this crap. He was not really happy to do all this on his own. After delivering the last package, he passed me standing outside, while smoking my third cigarette in a row. Normally I don't smoke that much, but I had to look cool, just waiting for that moment when he passes me to go back to his car. The moment he passed me I said, "Maybe you don't remember, but karma does." He turns around and looked me straight in the eyes, and in this one moment I could see in his eyes that he recognized me. He walked straight to his car without saying a word. After that, I saw him every other day since. And whenever he is the guy who delivers all that stuff for us, I stand outside and smoking a cigarette. This went on for another 2 years. He never changed a word with me, nor did he look me in the eyes. Since then I'm working there full time and we have another interns. The first thing I teach him, whenever this one guy rings the bell to bring us our delivery, don't even think about helping him, just sit outside and watch. The next one is titled, "Don't get mad at me for trying to do my laundry and be considerate." I was living in an efficiency apartment by myself for the first time. I was approximately 20 years old and I was working 2 server jobs, both of which required a clean and presentable uniform. Every 3 days or so I would have to do a load of work clothes and I didn't have much time to do it between jobs. The apartment complex that I lived in had 16 apartments in it, and we all shared a washer and dryer. I had the cycle time to the minute, and I would go to my apartment to watch a TV show or clean or something and would change my clothes from the washer to the dryer without wasting any time. I was considerate. After I had been living there for 3 months or so, this lady moves in and starts doing her laundry in the washer and dryer, but she had the habit of leaving it in for hours, sometimes all night. I would go to do my laundry, see that her clothes were in the washer, go back to my apartment and wait for about 30 minutes or so, go back and they would still be there. I would set an alarm for balls early in the morning to do my laundry before work and her clothes would still be in there. After this happened 3 times or so, and my uniforms were pretty dirty, I would take her clothes out of the washer and set them on top of the dryer so that I could wash my clothes. I did this a few times, then she wrote a note that said something along the lines of, "If you touch my clothes again I will call the police," or something. Whatever, I wrote a note back saying that she isn't the only one that has to use the laundry. She seemed to get the message for a little bit. Maybe I just wasn't doing my laundry at the same time as her. But one night I was doing laundry at midnight after I had gotten off of work and my clothes were in the dryer. I set an alarm that would go off in 45 minutes, which is about how long the dryer in the complex takes. Before the alarm goes off, she shows up at my door with my uniform shirts neatly folded and a grin on her face and says, "You left these over there, I figured I would fold them and bring them to you." 1. The shirts weren't even dry, she pulled them out before they were done. 2. I was really wanting to get my laundry done fast so I could go to bed. I just said thanks, and slammed the door in her face. The next time I went to do my laundry, of course hers was in there. I did my normal thing of going back to my apartment and waiting for 30 minutes or so, then going back over there to check if she had moved her clothes. To be fair, I did this for 3 hours. After 3 hours, I took a gallon of bleach and poured it all over her clothes in the washer. I don't know what got into me, I was just feeling some rage from her writing a nasty note and taking my clothes out of the dryer, folding them and giving them to me while they were wet. The next morning as I was leaving for work I saw her pulling her bleach-stained clothes out of the dryer. For some reason, she didn't suspect me because she was fighting with her next-door neighbor as well. Go figure. She moved out soon after. The last one is titled, Enjoy Your Flight, Butthole. A few years ago, I was at my city airport, about to board on a very short, 50-minute long airplane trip to another city. I did the whole procedure, registered my tickets, sent my luggage to be wrapped, and stood still in the corner. Now, this is important, I was dressed with a white t-shirt and a black pair of pants, looking really formal, so I looked like someone from the airport staff, especially because I was standing close to the airport map, staring at nothing, waiting for my flight. I heard a commotion in the hall next to the check-in area, looked there, and then I saw him, the butthole. Dude was giving everyone in the airport, staff and passengers, a very hard time, demanding priority in the check-in service and making a huge scene. Apparently, he was too wealthy to just wait in line like everyone else. He screamed so much, one of the staff girls actually cried. I heard he was trying to get a flight from Curitiba to Campinas, 2 cities in Brazil, which was exactly the flight I was in. So I saw an once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to avenge the poor girl and the rest of the staff. I went to the departure section and just stood still next to the place where you go to board the planes, with those tubes that connect the building to the planes. This is what I mean, I don't know if USA airports have this kind of stuff. Anyway, I stood in the long corridor, and when he came close to me, I asked him, "Are you sir flying to Campinas or to Rio de Janeiro?" "Campinas," he said in that disgusting voice. That way, I pointed to one of the tunnel's entrance to my left. If he made past this point in the building, it meant that somebody already checked his ID and ticket. So nobody would question him when he got into the plane I pointed, which means that he was not going to Campinas. Actually, God knows where he might have ended up if he didn't realize he was in the wrong plane. Thanks for listening.